Okay, my teacher says to not put the title of a text in the thesis statement. Is that a correct rule? I feel conflicted based on info from online and the info she gives. Well, there is no hard and fast rule on that. So sometimes some teachers like a conceptual thesis statement. So you just say an idea and you don't bring in the text. However, I personally feel that it depends on the module, especially as well. Like if you're doing a critical study of a text, so you're only studying one text, and the point of the module, like module B, the critical study, is to study that text, then I think it makes perfect sense to bring in the text in the first sentence. But you could also start by just expressing the core idea of the text without mentioning the text. And that can actually help you have a little bit more impact. Okay, so your teacher's not wrong. It would be potentially more sophisticated to lead with a punchy statement that captures the essence of the text without saying it, and then in the next sentence saying in the text. So personally, I do like that approach. I like the conceptual intro, but there's no way that I would think, okay, just because you had the title in the first sentence, you can't get full marks. I think that's a bit silly. But the reality is that incorporating the title and the author and the year in which it was composed and the form, it does take up a lot of words, and it is going to get in the way of you making that immediate impression on the marker, which another student might do by not mentioning the text in their first one and just going straight into the big concept, connecting it to the question, and then introducing it. So I think it is a good strategy to maybe introduce the text only in the second sentence and leave that first one for that big conceptual statement where you're really going to wow the marker. I think that's probably where your teacher's coming from. And I would tend to agree where you can do that. But I would also say it's not like you can't get full marks by not doing it. But the overarching rule for trials is if your teacher's the one marking the exam, do what your teacher wants. How would you introduce the composers and their text in your intro for Mod A, e.g. Shakespeare and Puccino? It's a good question. When you guys are first introducing your texts, you need to do the full name of the author. So maybe Shakespeare's an exception there, because Shakespeare's Shakespeare, right? He's earned that. You can just say Shakespeare and we get it. You don't need to say William. But for Puccino, I mean, you do want to say the full name the first time that you introduce Puccino. So full name with the Al Pacino, and then thereafter, you can just refer to the last name. So full name of the text, full name of the author when you're first introducing it, with the year in which it was composed in brackets. For Shakespeare, it's not always clear what the exact year is, so that's an exception. But if you know the precise year that a novel was released or a film was made, you put that in brackets. And then after that, you can just refer to the author's last name, the composer's last name, and you can also refer to a shortened version of the title, okay, which you should make clear straight away. Okay, in my introduction, I say something like, Orwell explores rebellion, love, and class. See, prime example, glad you brought it up, and I'm not picking on you, you were just the next question in line. Orwell explores rebellion, love, and class. That's why it doesn't have sophistication or eloquence. Because you've listed, that was exactly my point about how you improve it. You know listing. Tell me one thing about rebellion. Tell me what type of rebellion. How is there rebellion? Or tell me one thing about love. You need to pick one from that. Maybe you use one of the other words later in the sentence as a connected idea, but you've just listed 3 words that literally mean nothing to me. I don't understand what you mean by rebellion, love, and class. They're just 3 buzzwords. Okay, and then you've said through the characters. So Orwell explores the futility of rebellion. See how I'm already saying something about one of those words? And I'm forgetting about love and class. Maybe I can incorporate it later. But Orwell explores the futility of rebellion in a society that is psychologically controlled by a totalitarian government. Okay, basic example. But notice how I said something about rebellion. I said that rebellion is going to fail. I said that it's futile. That means it's pointless. So do you see how in my example, I've actually made a point about it? I said that rebellion doesn't work if you live in a society where the government has psychological control over the collective. Okay, that's me making one point, a specific point about that one key term. Love and class, maybe you can deal with it in a different sentence each, but don't group them together. Hopefully that makes sense.